We're just gonna go live. Yep. If everything went well, we should be live. Super. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Everything Outside Code. I'm William, and I have Frederick here. Hey Frederick.
Hey, nice to be here. Happy to be here. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. What's your cat's name?
It's Tails. And you may
Else.
notice, so you may spend a little bit of time. You hear his name right now, so you woke up a
Yeah.
little bit. And I think it's coming from the shelter, so it's the name the shelter gave him. You may see have like a really small tail.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was living on the street. He had it hard, and they had to cut part of the tails. So it's like if he had multiple tails when he arrived at the shelter. So it's a sad story a little bit, but actually right now everybody find his little tails like really cute, and now
Yeah.
he's living his best life. Like look at him right now, sleeping. What I do live stream.
Hey,
He's not owning
Shredded.
his food. He's just like yeah, he's happy now.
Yeah. Well, I have Frederick and Tails on the stream today. And
Two guests.
yeah, up to I got one free. And we're going to be talking about building developer relations teams. Um, and the premise behind this is that I've had a couple of my buddies, some of our customers at Hackmamba, talk to me about they've built a great product. Basically, they want to go to market, and it's one thing to build a great product; it's another thing to go to market, and there's even something further, which is going to market with the right team. Um,
Yeah.
Especially when you're growing past like a one-person go-to-market team. So today we're going to go into all that. What does that look like? Frederick has built teams, has led one, still leading one, I guess. But
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about that in a bit. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll get on them. So yeah, welcome to the show, Frederick.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, could you tell us a bit more about yourself and how you
Yes.
got here?
Yeah, so my name is Fred. I'm a senior developer relations manager at Tiny MCE, so leading a team of developer advocates. It's a small team for now. I only have one person, but I'm hopefully slowly building the team here. And no, I've been in tech for a little more than 20 years. I started as a software developer. Uh, Full-time coding, building application, and I love it, but I'm also like an extrovert social. So about 14 years ago, I moved in the developer relations space because I realized that I could get paid to do some of the stuff that I was already doing on my free time. So I've done that at a really big company, medium size, smaller one. And now it's been a little more than 4 months that I joined Tiny MC. Super happy and excited to be here. It's a great challenge too. And yeah, what brings me here? To be honest, William, I can't remember how we met each other, but I know I had you as a guest
Mhm,
about a year ago, maybe on my own show, the DevRel show, where I get
mhm.
people that are either developer advocates or people like that do some kind of developer relations in their role. And you, as a CEO of Hackmamba, you were doing that. So I was super excited to have you on the show. We talked about developer relation. We talked about Hackmamba, and I guess I think it's one of your employees that were like, "Hey, Fred, we're doing that show. Would love to have you as a guest." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I can talk again with William. Like, I'm gonna be more than happy to do that. And on top of that, I can talk about DevRel. Where do I sign? Like, happy to be here."
Yeah, thank you so much, man. It's good to learn about your experience. 2 decades slamming keyboards and, and writing code, and now teaching people about it. I think that's fantastic. And yeah, we met sometime last year. I think it was on a Slack channel. I think.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. There was
yeah, I
the
think the
DevRel
marketing,
collective.
the
DevRel
DevRel collective.
collective, yeah, Slack, which is
Yeah,
like if you're in DevRel, it's probably the place to be. All the developer advocates and DevRel people are hanging there and like helping each other to be successful. So,
hmm yeah, yeah. You should check it out if you're a developer advocate for sure. If you're just in DevRel, in general. So I'm curious, what's the difference between DevRel and developer advocate? Are they the same? I see folks use them interchangeably. And you've also been a senior developer advocate and also like But I noticed for any time you use DevRel, you use DevRel Manager, not just
Yeah, so
DevRel.
there's a couple of things. So it's kind of like a little bit the same in the sense that like we're talking about the same thing. So developer advocate is the role like for the person doing developer relation, and developer relation is kind of like the entity or the department or the team or the focus of the role. So when I do developer relation, I'm developing relations with developer, but has someone doing that, I'm a developer advocate. But in my case, because I manage a team, I could be director, like I've been in the past, director of developer relation, or I could be, like right now, I'm a developer relations manager. But I do not care much about title, so people could just say like, "Hey, Fred is a developer advocate," because yes, I manage a team. I own developer relation at Tiny MCE, which means that like I define how we do developer relation. But at the end of the day, right now I have one person on my team, so I don't spend a lot of time, quote unquote, managing or leading. I also spend a lot of time like in high C function, like individual contributor function. So I'm a developer advocate also at Tiny MC. So it's just using
Yeah.
different words, and you could compare that from like a developer, which is the role, or engineer, which is the role, who is part of the engineering team, or that person is part of the product team. So like there's the team, there's like the function, and there's like the what that person is doing, the title of that person.
Yeah. Now that's interesting. And you said you function mostly within like an IC role. Because I was gonna ask, what does your day-to-day look like as a
Yeah,
DevRel
but
manager?
so it's a mix between three things in my case. So there's the part developer relation leadership, where I'm defining at TinyMC like what it means to do developer relation, like what are our goals, how we measure that, what's the impact we want to have, how we going to help other teams to be successful, how other teams can help us being successful. So there's the high level kind of like leadership part of the role, if I should say. There's the management part of my role, because I have a quote unquote team. As I said, I have one person, so it's not a big team. I don't do a lot of management, and it's someone senior in my team. So, and I don't like micromanaging. So I would prefer to call myself someone who lead instead of managing. But still,
Mm-hmm.
I have people that report to me. So there is management part. So I want to be sure that the person on my team is being successful, that I have everything they need to be successful, that I can remove some roadblock, that I can say no to some other part of the business when they have too much on their plate, and be sure that at the end of the day, my goal is to be sure that they're going to be successful. But if I would do only that, I would probably be able to use most of my time doing the leadership part and building developer relation and thinking about the high level impact that we can have, and creating programs. Like next year we plan to build a developer community, which we don't have right now, like a place where developer can go. So it's more like a bigger, like, not program, but bigger projects that I'm working on, has a DevRel, not just specific to like one of the
Mm-hmm.
brands, because we have multiple brands. But you know, I also need to focus on one of our brand, which is Tiny MCE. So I also do like a specific developer advocate role. So speaking at conferences, helping with like different part of like what DevRel does, doing live streaming like I'm doing right now, like helping other part
Yeah.
of the company, writing blog posts, creating video contents, all those things that are not management, that are not big picture DevRel, but they are day-to-day actions that help Tiny MC hopefully being successful.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. So what I hear here is you cover the strategy of the DevRel, like the DevRel function, and
Yeah,
also contribute to more like the tactical bits as well.
yeah,
So the actual doing of the stuff.
exactly. My God, I,
Yeah.
I I talked for 10 minutes, and in like two sentences, you did like a perfect summary of what I've said.
Oh man, no, that's really cool, and that's a lot. In an ideal world, and also from your experience, what's a DevRel team composed of? How do you set up one, or at least how do you think about setting up one?
I don't think there's like a perfect answers because it will depends, and I assume it's like that for every teams, but it will depends on the structure of the company, how the company is
Hmm.
working, what's the target audience for the company, like how we do business. So as an example, if you have a company like where I am right now, so actually I work for Tayugo, and we have 4 brands, and TinyMC is one of the brands. So I'll always put TinyMC in front because this is where I do most of the IC part of my role. But in that case, because we have multiple brand or multiple product, like if you build a team, I think the best way to build a team is to have one developer advocate per brand. Because it's already a lot of work to focus only on one brand. So if you have a developer advocate that will cover multiple product or multiple brand, that's a lot of work. You need someone that is really senior. Even with someone that has a lot of experience, it's a difficult role. So what I try to do in a case like right now, I have myself focusing on TinyMC, I have Andre on my team focusing on another brand, and hopefully I'm going to be able to hire more people to focus on the other brand. So each of us will have like a specific expertise in terms of our product that we're focusing on. Most company don't have multiple products. Most company have one product that they work on, or at least like startup or medium-sized company, they usually have
Hmm.
one product. So in that case, what I suggest, it's two different approach. So either an approach that is based on geography, meaning that
Hmm.
let's say if you target people in Europe or MAA and you target people in America, maybe it's good for you to have someone in America and someone that's going to be in Europe. So you have people that have different time zone. And that's going to be useful also if you do offline stuff like speaking at events, going to meetups. It's just going to be easier and cheaper. Like if I have to do something in, I don't know, London in UK, but I'm based in Canada, that's a little more expensive for me to go there than if I
Hmm.
have someone who live in Ireland or someone who live in France. That's going to be way closer for them, way cheaper for them. That's going to be in the same time zone. We're going to be able to talk to different audience on different time zone. That's just going to be easier. If your market is global, that's one approach to deal with. Another approach is also to focus on the expertise of the people in the team. Uh, let's say, and my team knows it, I'm not the one who get like always the most excited when it comes to writing blog posts, but put me up for public speaking, make me do videos, maybe do live stream. I love doing those kind of things. So I remember when I was working at Fitbit, with my partner John, we were two developer advocates, and this is what we were doing. We were focusing on where we would bring the most value. So I was doing a lot more public speaking, was doing a lot more video content. John was a lot more excited about writing article and doing documentation. So we were both targeting the same audience. We are both talking to developers. We had the same expertise in terms of like the product, which at the time was the Fitbit SDK for the smartwatches before the acquisition to Google.
Hmm.
So each of us we were like using our strength to be able to work on different activities that developer advocate should do. So instead of doing everything, the both of us, we're focusing on like the things where we brought more value. So usually when I see teams where you have like the capacity to have more people than just one developer advocate, it's usually split either between like product focus or brand focus if you have multiple one, or expertise or strength, or location of the people. So it's usually those kind of like three axes when I build teams, depending on the company. And again, it depends on like how the company is working. But also when I build developer relations team, depending on the company,
Hmm.
I don't always hire just developer advocates. I can hire people that gravitate towards like developer advocates role. Like as a startup, my first hire, because again it was a small startup where I was, and I was able to hire one person, and instead of hire a first developer advocate, hire a technical writer, because I was like, I can do a lot of like what developer advocates do. That's my job for a while. But we also need to, like, we also had like a strong need for someone who can help write text based stuff. So the documentation, writing blog article, and even if the developer advocates can do that, I basically needed someone full time to do that because we had so much of these to do. So I was like, okay, let's again go by strength. And you're going to focus on writing the docs. You're going to focus on writing blog article. And I'm still going to help for that because we have so much to do. But on top of that, because I can do other stuff, I'm going to focus on the other stuff. So again, it's kind of like super long answer to say it's kind of like case by case how you're going to build your
Hmm.
team, but usually it goes around those kind of like axes.
Yeah, that's great. The three axes being, you either go by strength, you go by strength and specialization,
Mhm.
go by product lines, or you go by location lines.
Yep.
So it's more convenient. That makes sense. And I guess this is for teams that can afford, to have one or more developer advocates. But I'm also thinking about early stage teams that can only afford to have one developer advocate. And we both know that developer advocates or developer advocacy is split within the lines of product, content, and community, right? If you were going to weigh the strengths for like an early stage team, how would you pick a developer advocate, right? How would you want to, balance that weight of product, content, and community?
Yeah, good questions. Like if I have no other information, I would try to find someone who has like is kind of equal and all those things because you need someone who is technical, someone who's going to be able to build a community, but you also need to have someone who's going to be able to create the foundation. At the last startup I was in, I was the one who took the ownership of documentation. So with all respect for my past CEO and CTO and didn't know what they said it before, when I joined, the docs was bad. And I mean, from my point of view, that's the point of entry for everything. If your documentation is not good, even if you have the best product out there, you're not going to be successful. So when I joined, a big part of my job was to write the documentation. I also tried to build a community, but a big chunk of my time was to build documentation, was also to create content because we didn't have much content. So we started to do those live stream and do those videos. So I spend more time on some of the activities of the company. I didn't spend much time speaking at conferences because I didn't have the foundation. So again, it would depends like what do you need right now to be successful, and maybe it make more sense to find the person who's going to help you to bring you to the next level at that point than finding someone who has an expertise in everything a developer advocate can do, which probably does not exist. We all have our strengths. There's all some stuff that we're a little less good at, or maybe we don't like to do. But as an example, right now, when I joined Tiny MCE, they didn't need me to have an expertise in building documentation, even if it's one of the things that I do now, and I think I have some kind of experience. I built documentation for this company. Like the engineering team owned the documentation where I am. They didn't need a technical writer. They need someone to write article, but we have technical writer part of the company. So in the bigger company, they were like, okay, now we need someone to bring developer relation to the next level. We need someone who's going to help us to create more video content because this is one of the things we're lacking right now. We need someone who's going to be able to build a community because we don't have community. So again, all great questions, but my answer is always it depends on like what you need right now and what you're building.
Yeah.
I went to startups in the past where the product was not ready, so they hired me, and I was eager, and it was like it's good, like we're gonna make it happen. And actually, they hired me too early because the product was not ready. So I was bringing people to the product, creating awareness, and people were trying the product and they had a bad experience, and it was done. Like it's real hard after people had a bad experience. So at that point, maybe where they should have focused instead of hiring me, and I was happy to get the job, but like instead of hiring me, maybe they should have like hire, I don't know, a QA person or someone else that could help them to focus on what they needed right now to bring the
Mhm.
product to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Point being, it depends on where you are as a product and what your needs look like. And I also think there's a huge responsibility, you know, that sits on the shoulder of whoever is hiring to understand like where they are, like take a step back and figure out like,
Yes.
so like where exactly are we? And a lot of times I'll also say tell themselves the truth because like the hard truth, because I talked to some teams that they want to do like developer growth. They want to acquire more developer users, but I figure out that their documentation is it's not great, and I can see that because it's public. So I'm like, hey, we need to fix docs first. We'll fix the docs, then we do acquisition. But there's a third monster, which is the product experience. The product experience isn't great. So we've acquired developers, we've activated them, but then retention is a problem, right? So they get in, they can start smooth, but then they run into all sorts of problems with the product. And that part with the product, I cannot readily see unless I become like a user, like a dedicated user, and battle test it. So I guess to your point would be first you need to fix the product, I guess, work your
Yep.
way up to the docs, and then end up with okay, now we're ready to bring in more people to the product.
Yeah, docs is often underestimated. And you're like, no, we're going to start to create awareness and do all those videos and speak at conferences. They're all great things to do. But again, you may have the best product out there. If your docs is not good, people won't understand how to use it. People won't be successful. And at the end, you won't be successful because like people will give you a chance. And especially developers. And I say that as a developer myself, we are, how can I say that politely? Interesting people. Let's say that, and we are really fast on like I try you once, I had a bad experience, I'm done. Like there is like the thing is that there is for sure another product out there doing about the same thing as you, has wonderful you think you are, as unique you think you are. You are not. Someone else somewhere is building the same exact product as you. So if the developer has a bad experience, they're going to move to the next. So obviously creating awareness is great. Obviously creating video tutorials is going to be like a great addition because most people are visual, but we always start with the docs from my point of view.
Mhm.
That you can disagree, folks, if you're listening, but we always start with the docs for me. So it's why at the previous company, my first job when I joined, I was like, hey, I may not do a lot of like what you thought developer advocate role would be, because we need to bring the docs to that level before I can really have an impact on with the rest of my role.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. We have Anuj here. Here, hey Anuj.
Hey.
Uh, with a question. He says, people often see DevRel as content and community work, but what do you think is the most underrated part of being a developer advocate?
That's a good question. First, Anuj, nice to see you again. Anuj is, you may have, he wrote a first comment before he said, like, finally, that role show after a long time. You probably gonna miss out things because I'm also sharing this live stream on my own channel. It's not a DevRel show. The next one, small promotion, is tomorrow at 1 p.m. East. But yeah, no, that's a great question. I think DevRel overall is underrated. But I think an underrated part of DevRel, which sometimes is hard to understand for business, is being that I always call myself the friendly, social, technical, approachable face of the company. And what does that
Mhm.
mean? Yes, I'm out there. Yes, I create content to educate people. Yes, I create content that resonate with my audience. I build community, but I'm there to listen to developers. I'm there to help
Mhm.
them being successful, and I'm there to bring the feedback to the product team when I have some feedback. So there is a lot of companies out there that you can contact on social media and their brand is answering you and it's nice. But I think more than ever, people want to connect with people. And other people in the company, it's not their job. They may not have time. It's not always something that scale easily also, but I think it's part of developer relation to really be that person who connect with other people, being that person at a company where you can talk to. You want to talk about Tiny MC, I'm here. You can contact me. You send me an email. They may have delays because I have a busy schedule, but I will always get back to you. I will always get back to you. I will always try to help you being successful. Just recently, someone had an issue and they contacted me, and I was like, let me check with the product team. And I bounced it up to the product team. They were like, oh, Fred, it's good. We're going to try to prioritize that. But prior to that, they were not able to contact any other people. And it's not against the product team. It's like their job is not to like their job is to build the software, and they're doing an amazing job at that. But now they have me that can be the connection between that person and the community and the other person. So at the end of the day, I think being that people person can be something that is underrated, because you always see us speaking in advance and doing live stream and making videos and those kind of things. So there's really a public part of it, but it's not just about me being on the stage and people like, "Oh, Fred is so good as a public speaker." No, it's really, and it's not just about sharing about my product. It's helping people being successful, but being that connection, being that real person you can talk to. And I think it's one of the critical part of developer relation. So it's why I encourage people in my team, like, be out there. It's not about your ego, but people need to see your face everywhere, because when they do that, they make the connection between you and the brand, and they're like, yeah, I can talk to that person. Like, he is the person who's gonna, like, I'm a developer advocate, so I advocate for developers internally.
Yeah, that last part, being an advocate, like thinking about what does it mean to be an advocate. Um, that's often like underrated. Because most teams see developer, some teams, not most, but some teams see developer advocate as someone on the marketing team that's just going to help us sell and do customer support for developers, right? It's like providing developer support, which isn't what it is.
No, no, and I know some developer advocates would like to be tied or like to be tied closer to some sales goals. I think it changes the nature of developer advocate if you do so. So I always say, if I do my job well, we're going to get the side effect of doing my job well is for us to get more users. It's for us to get more paid
Mhm.
users or customers. uh, but if I do my job well, it's a positive side effect. But my job is not to do that. Again, it's a positive side effect, but like, if I start to have metrics around like how many sales we've got and how many deals we close, I become a salesperson, which is nice. We need
Mhm.
salespeople, but it changed the nature of like being a developer advocate. And the advocacy part, what you said, like, it's important. It's really important because people also underestimate the fact that, like, yes, I'm advocating for developers internally, also means that I'm, quote unquote, protecting the developer audience in the rest of the company. So, sales would talk with me, marketing would talk with me, people doing like paid ads internally will talk with me, and we will ensure that together we understand how to connect with developer, how they can do their job without alienating developer, without basically like ruining what I'm trying to do with developer, but the other way around, like, how can I do my job while still empowering their team to be successful. So, like, really finding the right mix about like how can we work with that audience. So developer relation is like externally, but it's also internal. It's also an internal
Mhm.
job, especially in the bigger company. If you want to be successful, you need to work with the other department.
Yeah. So I like that part about working with the other department. And then I think to myself, what a support for a developer relations teams. Because I mean, or another way to phrase this would be, does a developer relations teams contain just developer advocates? Or are there other supporting functions required within the team? And what does that look like, especially when you're building a really efficient one?
So, William, has any of your question? It will start by it depends. So it will depend on the company. Like right now, where I am at Tiny MC, if I
Mhm.
continue to grow the team, it will probably be mostly developer advocates, and only developer advocates. The reason being that, like, we have a content team that have technical writers. We also have like social media managers that are part of like the marketing team. So we have like different other positions that I would like to have within developer relation if we didn't have those people with the company doing so. But I've seen developer relations having, technical writers. I've done it in the past.
Mhm.
Last time I wanted to hire, it didn't happen for reasons, but I wanted to hire a community manager also because it's part of developer advocate to do that. But at some point, when the community grows so much, it's nice to have someone who's going to focus only on that. But a community management with the developer in mind. So a developer community manager, someone who's going to be kind of like a developer advocate, but will focus only on that function. So you can build a team where you have people that have their title, and I basically
Mm-hmm.
see that as like people that take a subset of the role of a developer advocate, because developer advocate is like 20 roles in one, and we do so many
Yeah.
things. But like, can I have someone who has like a specific expertise? Like maybe I can hire like a video content producer editor if we do a lot of videos, and that person will do only that. Maybe I want to hire a technical writer because that person will do only do that. Community manager, like I can have also a developer, like just a developer, and that developer will help me to build like the code for tutorials. That will help me to build like a lot more demos that we can put on GitHub, all the things that developer advocates can do. But when you reach a point where like, hey, maybe it makes sense to have someone full time, you can grow that team. So from my point
Mm-hmm.
of view, there is no limit or limitation in terms of like who can be part of the DevRel team. It's only mean that like if you're part of that team, your target audience is developer, and what you're gonna do it like in the DevRel way, like in the developer relations way. The
Mm-hmm.
approach, the way you're gonna do your job is gonna always be within that kind of like framework and understanding of what is developer relation, and how we do things also, which is different from other department.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, I think this depends. It depends for
Always.
sure. It depends on the deficiencies of your team, or like I'd say ways you always want to find a way to put balance and complete the team,
Yep.
as well as much as possible. So I'm fishing for an efficiency hack here. From the last 14 years doing developer advocacy and developer relations management. Um, has there been a time where you made like either made a change to add something or remove something from your team that instantly just like boosted either productivity in the team or just the team's efficiency in general? Is there anyone that quickly comes to mind?
Uh, that's good. I don't know if that answered totally the questions, but and let me tell you, if I speak too much, because I tend to talk too much. This is also why I'm being paid. But one of the things that I've seen the most is that, and I'm not saying that with ego, whatever, but like when a developer advocate, when there's the first developer advocate that joined a company, it's kind of like the holy grail. And I know I sound pretentious by saying that, but like quite often you get someone who has maybe like they were a developer but they know how to talk to
Mhm,
people, which is not the case for all developer. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. Like everybody has their strengths and things they're a little less good at, but usually a good developer advocate is someone who is technical, who know how to talk to someone. They do public speaking, they write article, they do videos. So when that person join a team, every other team, I'm like, oh my god, we needed someone like you. And like one person like, hey, can you create videos because I want to do some paid ads? And the other person like, oh, can you write blog posts about that because we have writers, but like maybe we need more technical approach. And like, oh yeah, can you help with the docs, and can you help with this and this and that and that? And one of the things I learned at the beginning, I wanted to please everyone, not because I'm a yes person. It's just like, yeah, like I have that expertise, or I have that experience, or I want to do it, and I think it's going to be
mhm,
beneficial for the company, and I'm going to help you. But it's impossible to do what everything asks you to do, because you also have your own things to do. You also have your goals. So uh,
mhm,
again, I'm not sure if I'm answering the question, but like being able to say no has been something really critical for me to be successful in my job. The second thing was like trying to find win-win situation, meaning that like let's say like part of my job is to create content, like writing blog tutorials or creating video content. So is there a way for me to maximize the impact I have with that, in the sense that like, hey, instead of me choosing between 20 topics I can talk about and write my content or create my content, I'm going to ask the sales team and say like, hey, what is the question you get asked most often and you don't know where to send people? You have to explain it yourself. You don't have a one link to rule them all. Like you don't have a link to a blog post where like, hey, read that, you're going to be able to know it, or go in the doc at that page, you're going to have that information. So there is some content missing for you to be successful. I'm going to create that content, which means that that's going to create great content for my technical audience. If it resonates with developers, that's still going to be interesting. That's going to help me to achieve my goal. But on top of that, I'm hopefully going to help the sales team to minimize the number of questions about that, or the support team to minimize the number of questions about that. So
Hmm.
so it's less about removing, it's more trying to like, can I find win-win situation where my work is not just helping myself, but my work is also helping other part of the business. Like recently, I did a webinar, and we have someone who is responsible of paid ads, and it was like, Fred, I would love a paid ads, like I would love a video about that feature. And like, that's fine, I'm doing a webinar, I'm going to be able to create shorts with that webinar, and you're going to be able to reuse it. So for me, I hit my goal of what I wanted to achieve. I talk about what I wanted to do, and a part of what I talk to resonate, is useful for her in her job. And now
Hmm.
she will have a video that's going to be able to use for her paid ads. So that was a way for me to maximize the impact and help other team at the same time. So again, not sure
Yeah.
if I'm answering the question, but yeah, it's more about like, trying to put your limits, because everybody wants to have like you helping them, because you bring in expertise that maybe, depending on the size of the company, the rest of the company don't have that expertise. So it's about
Hmm.
like putting your limits, but also like, let's try to help other people when it makes sense for you also,
Yeah.
and that helps you to maximize the impact and help other teams at the same time.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's symbiotic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like looking for those, like, yeah, symbiotic relations and activities.
Yeah. It's super important. This is one of the thing, like one of the two things that really helped me to scale the most, the type of impact I have on the
Hmm.
business for my employer. The second one is always to try to maximize what I do. I know you didn't ask, but I'm just going on a tangent now. It's really, if I speak at a conference, like hopefully like there's a way to record my talk at the conference. So I speak at a
Hmm.
conference, so I'm going to talk to people, but there's a recording that we can put on YouTube after, which means we're going to get more views with the time. That's going to be like some kind of like organic stuff. From those, maybe I can create shorts. That's going to give me different video content that I'm going to be able to like use on social media. And if it makes sense, maybe I can write a blog post that had more context to what I talk in the conference, had more resources. So I went from creating a talk and slides for a conference to my talk at a conference, plus like a full length video recording of it, plus some shorts, plus some share stuff on social media, and maybe a blog
Hmm.
post, maybe some code in a repository. So I went from one talk to multiple pieces of content to kind of like
Hmm.
maximize the impact that I have.
Yeah. So that's making the most out of it.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic trait for a developer advocate. And which brings me to traits, right? If you're gonna hire a developer advocate, what's one thing that you think is the most important? It's like a non-negotiable for you when looking out for someone that could be a developer advocate. What's one trait they should have?
One. God. Can I go with two?
Mhm.
I really struggle to get a one, but I
Okay, you
would
get
say
to.
maybe it's one, but like a fine mix between two things.
Hmm.
Because it's developer advocate and your audience is developer, I
Hmm.
want someone who is technical. Because you need to be able to talk to the developer. You need to have the credibility when you're in front of the camera, when you're in front on stage, when you talk to people. You need to know the joy, but also the pain of being a developer. Like it's not always like unicorns and
Yeah.
rainbows and sunshine. Like sometimes developers is a hard role. Like quite often it's a hard role. You need to understand that the pain of having like 20,000 libraries and frameworks that you can use to do one job. Like you need to have the expertise, but it's not enough. I know a lot of great developers that couldn't be developer advocate, because you also need to be able to communicate well about what you do, about what you want to communicate with people. So that would be a kind of mix between like great communicator with technical skills. It's kind of like my 2 point, like two half
Yeah.
of like that makes one thing that I'm looking in someone.
Yeah.
And if I want to be honest, I do not even care about the type of technology, because you can learn the technology. What's even more important for me, like, can you learn it? So do you have any technical chops, at least some experience?
Hmm.
As I said, for everything I said before, the thing that is a lot harder to learn are what usually would be considered as soft skills for any other role, which I consider for developer advocate hard skill. Like, can you communicate with people? Can you connect with people? Are you like, do you have empathy or compassion for other people, which I think is important for that role. So those things
Hmm.
are a little bit harder to learn than like learning a new technology that you may not have know if you have a technical background, because if you have a technical background, that's going to be easier for you to learn new technology. So I care more about the what would be considered soft skills in that case than learning a specific technology about what you need to know to be able to
Hmm.
focus on that product.
Yeah. So right now, developer advocates are like in super short supply. I think great ones are able to combine the skill of being great communicators and also having like technical expertise. So teams are like right now are forced to choose. Do you pick a developer and hope that they become a developer advocate, or do you find someone that is like technology adjacent, like they've touched like maybe WordPress, they've been like a system administrator, or they've worked in IT, but you know their
Hmm.
personality fits a lot with like they could become a developer advocate if they put in time to maybe learn to code.
You have a
Which
really
would
good
you go for?
question, man. You have a really good question.
Mhm.
I would say probably someone who has the potential of being a developer advocate. So, as I said, the communication skills, the personality, because I think you can learn the technical skill. It's still not going to be easy, but and feel free to not agree with what I say, but I think it's maybe a little bit easier to learn the technical part, as I said, than like the rest of like the role itself. And there is a lot like there's I don't know if there's a lot. There's a lot of people I see being developer advocates, being super successful right now that were not developers before becoming developer advocates, but they were great communicator. They were able to summarize things, and they learned the technology part. I mean, you need to start somewhere. It's like any developer. Like when I was a developer, when I got my first job, I studied to become a developer. But before that, I had no knowledge. I was not a developer. I had to learn. I was able to learn and become a software developer, an engineer to be
Mhm.
able to do the job. So I think I would choose someone like, don't get me wrong, next time I'm hiring someone, there is the two requirements of the role. But if I had to
Yeah.
choose for your question, if I had to choose, I would go
Mhm.
with someone who has like the soft skills and they could learn the hard skills
Mhm.
versus someone who have the hard skills and don't have the soft skills. And if it's clear that they don't have like the soft skills, because they can also learn to better communicate. Like, I don't think I was born a communicator. I learned about it, but it was also a little bit of in my nature. It was a little more hazy for me. Um, and I think, again, it's a little bit harder to get that than learning a technical skills, because the soft skills are kind of like part of who you are. They're part of your
Mhm.
nature, they're part of your personality, and I'm asking you to basically change your personality, which I don't want to do. I don't want
Yeah.
for you to change your personality for work, and for that job to be successful. I have a no bullshit policy. I have a transparency, and you need to be yourself. And the most developer advocates that are successful, for the better or worse, it's because they're themselves. For the better or worse, I think I'm successful because I'm being me, which means that some people hate me, some people can stand me, but some people like me, and some people find me funny, and some people find me someone like agreeable where you can spend time with. So, but it's my personality is who I am. So I bring that personality from job to job. I bring who I am from job to job, and what I have to change between jobs is my technical chops. Like the last company, I was only in cloud native. Now I'm back in
Yeah.
mostly front end stuff. And I've never been a developer advocate for a rich text editor or WYSIWYG, and now
Yeah.
I am. But I learned that part. I'm learning that part. But the rest
Mhm.
of what makes me what I think a great
Special.
developer advocate, or yeah, special in a good and a bad way, I still bring it to me, and this is what helps me doing my job. And after that, it's just about learning a new technology and or a new product.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you that having I feel like there's someone someday would draw a fine line between hospitality and developer advocacy. Because I've had like personally a couple friends that have gone from, being in like the hospitality industry, in the service industry, to learning to code. And then suddenly they just realize, hell yeah, I can be a developer advocate. I'm good with people. I understand how to like, help people. And now I have like this technical skills,
Mhm.
just blend them and become a developer advocate.
Yeah,
So
my
yeah,
first my
I
first job.
mhm.
Oh, sorry, I cut you.
No, go
No,
on,
I was
please.
going to say my first job. I was my student job. I was working in a bowling, and like yes, the guy who put the spray in the shoes, but like my job was to like help customers and get them
Hmm.
started in the bowling, and like if they had any question, I was there to help them. So my job was public, and I loved that. I missed that part of when I started being a developer because yes, you talk with your colleagues.
Oh, what happened? What happened to the stream? Mm, 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 mm. Mm, mm, mm. Where did Frederick go? This is interesting. Well, why does the stream look dark as well? Uh, I got something happening to Frederick's mic and camera or the live stream, but yeah, I guess we've come up on time as well. So just to conclude, well, Fred has a show. Let me see. Fred has a show coming up tomorrow. So if you're interested in DevRel, do check out the DevRel show and join up. Okay,
Yeah,
Fred.
so sorry. So where I live in Quebec in Canada, winter just started. So we have our first snowstorm 2 days ago, and yesterday I had
Mm.
16 hours without electricity, and now I just had like a short outage, but just long enough for everything to reset. So my router has to reset and connect and everything. So sorry about that. I know it was super passionate. I don't even remember what we're talking about, sorry, folks. The life of working in the like being in a place where winter is like where the wind hurt your face. This is what it is right now, and it doesn't happen often, but happen once in a while. And it's always when I'm in a live stream or something. It's never when I'm just doing work on my own computer, or if I missed it for like 2 minutes. Anyway, I'm back now.
Yeah. No, no
Sorry about that.
worries, man. Well, I was just wrapping up and saying this. I see we're up on time. This was a great show, and I was just putting on your show happening tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yes,
You
yes.
said? Yeah, yeah, I remember. 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested in developer advocacy and conversations like this, you want to be there tomorrow. Yeah,
Thanks.
well, thank you so much, Fred, for coming on. This has been great.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thanks everyone
Yeah,
who watched the show.
yeah. Cheers, and thanks, Arnold, for joining as well. Cheers.
Have a good
Bye.
one, folks.